May 20th, 2025 meeting be accepted as presented with the addition of bylaw number 47-2025 under the order of bylaws. Moved by Mr. Hatch, second Councilor McDonald. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the minutes of the April 15th regular meetings of council be hereby approved as circulated. Moved by Councilor Fisher, seconder. Councilor Hatch, any errors or omissions? All in favor? Your finance be resolved that the May 13th, 2025 general accounts payable being checks number 8020 to 8078 in the amount of $228,585.54 be hereby approved by McDonald, seconder. For Fisher. Here, discussion.
I was just curious about the hayfield well repair. Do you guys know what that was about?
Well, it went down, I know that.
It did. We had a hose that was ripped off apparently, and I think they replaced it with one from OK Tire. And I think one of our own staff, she went out and was being able to do some of the electrical on it.
Okay.
Okay. Further? All in favor? Carried. Direct deposit 356 staff payroll for the period April 12th to April 25th, 2025. The amount of $13,561.92 be hereby approved. Moved by Councilor Fisher, second Councilor Jones. Discussion. All in favor? Deposit 357 being staff payroll for the period April 26th to May 9th, 2025 in the amount of $14,755.83 be hereby approved. Moved by Councilor Donald, second Councilor Hatch. Discussion. Favor? Be it resolved that direct deposit 358 being council indemnities for the month of April 2025 in the amount of $4,848.97 be hereby approved. Moved by Councilor Jones, second Councilor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? The utility account be resolved at the May 13th, 2025 utility pay utility account checks number 1271 to 1286 in the amount of $11,517.22 be hereby approved. Moved by Councilor McDonald, seconder. Councilor Hatch. Discussion. All in favor? Be resolved that the statement of revenue and expenditures report to April 30th, 2025 be received and presented by Dr. Jones, seconder. Dr. McDonald, discussion. In favor? Great. Be resolved that the bank reconciliations for the month of April 2025 be here approved as previously circulated. Moved by Councilor Fisher, second. Discussion. All in favor? Okay, so that gets us to our delegation.
Yes. Mr. Reiner, would you like to come forward, please?
Hello.
Good morning.
You have your partner on the line here.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, council, for having us this morning. Sorry for a few minutes right on time there. Sorry for being a few minutes late.
It's okay.
The weather was not friendly.
Yeah.
Do we have everybody online? Is Adeline and Kesha? We
Yep.
hear anybody?
We're here. Can you hear us? Okay.
We're here.
Yes, good morning. Okay. I'll do the introduction here and then I'll pass it on to my colleagues. Thank you, Reeve and Council this morning for the time to speak today about the proposed wind power development in the RM. My name is Lucas Reindler. I work for Bright Diamond Consulting, and we are a renewable energy consultant working exclusively with Interjex Renewable Energy, working on the potential wind farm in the area. Everybody has the presentation in front of them? Right. Yes. Thank you. So if you go to the next slide, labeled "Who is Interjex?" I'll turn it over to Adeline, who's our employee on the line here, based in Vancouver. And Adeline, are you there?
Yeah, hi, thanks, Lucas. Everyone can hear me all right?
Yeah, you're coming through good.
All right. Hi, I'm Adeline Thames. I'm an associate on the development team here at Interjex. As you can see on the slides you've got in front of you, Interjex is a 100% renewable energy company. We have operating and development facilities in Canada, the US, France, and Chile. We're a Canadian-based company, and we have been in the business since 1990 with over 35 years of experience, starting with run-of-river hydro projects, but we now work with hydro, solar, wind, and battery energy storage projects. And of our operating facilities, we've got 36 wind farms and another 11 under construction or development. And these prospective wind farms that we're looking at and proposing to you here in Manitoba are considered very early stages, so wouldn't even be on this list or on this map, which is why we're here today, just to kind of talk you through the opportunity and what that might look like. And so if you have any questions about who Interjex is or how we do business, we like to develop and construct and operate projects for their entire life cycle. So we are typically not in the business of developing them and then passing them along. We like to be with the project and with the community for the entire time. So thanks for having us today. Sorry I can't be there in person, but happy to meet you all.
Thank you, Adeline. Yeah, as Adeline highlighted there, Interjex is a Canadian-based company, just so you all know. TSX listed, and I believe now a majority shareholder is the pension plan and the investment portfolio of the province of Quebec. So Interjex was founded in Quebec in the 90s and has been operational ever since with all those facilities you see there. So moving on to the next slide, if there's any questions, we could take them as we go here, if there's any questions about Interjex, but we'll also have some time at the end. So moving on the next slide there, we're talking about the projected demand and let's say the basis for the need for new projects in Manitoba. The government has highlighted a strong growth profile in the electricity sector, a shortfall of energy that's projected in various modeling scenarios that you see here on the slide. Everything toward 2030 and beyond shows, all scenarios show a shortfall of electricity, and in some cases, a need for doubling the electrical reserves, and in other cases, even tripling, as you see here, through the next 15 to 20 years. So, of course, electricity generators, sources of energy take a while to develop. It takes years to develop these type of projects. So if we see a shortfall in 10 years, we really need to start the work and the planning now. So the Manitoba Hydro has prepared an integrated resource plan, and they looked at many different options in their portfolio, and the lowest cost option today to bring on new power sources are new wind power projects. That's sort of the conclusion. Just to give you a comparative example, in Saskatchewan, in the last year, they announced, and even actually you might see in the media, they just announced some more projects recently, a solar and a wind project. These projects are sourced at about 3 to 4 cents a kilowatt hour. So if you know on your power bill, it's probably double or triple that actually that you pay on your retail bill. And there's no other source of power today that's as cheap as new wind power. So that's part of the reason the Manitoba government and Manitoba Hydro are focusing on new wind power projects. If you go to the next slide, there's a map here of southern Manitoba from Winnipeg all the way to the Saskatchewan border. This is the region, the zone that Manitoba Hydro sees the best opportunity for new wind projects. And you see here a map of 14 different substations that are identified by Manitoba Hydro as being the best potential for absorbing new wind power projects. And of course, you see south of Brandon, Souris Enbridge substation, and that's primarily why we're in the region looking at new wind projects. If you go to the next slide, this is the broad timeline. We see Manitoba Hydro has issued a process, a general framework, what we call a call for power of 600 megawatts. And the timeline looks as follows. Here it's starting to get a little bit stale. They've said by spring 2025, they're going to release an expression of interest. They have not released that yet. We are waiting week to week, month to month for Manitoba Hydro to launch this process. They did have last month, well, in late March, going on 2 months ago now, a wind symposium that they held with government, with Ministry of Environment, Minister of Energy, First Nation and Indigenous groups, and industry participants. I'm one of my colleagues on the line, and we received this timeline from them that they are going to release an expression of interest in the spring, so maybe in the next month. Then in the summer, they intend to release an RFP that's the formal document outlining the timelines, the procurement deadlines, and so on. And they expect submissions by the late fall or early winter 2026, so let's say in the next 6 to 8 months. And then they will identify winners in about 1 year's time from now. They'll identify projects that were retained under contract. And those contracted projects will be contracted for 20 to 25 years of operation. And often we see them being extended beyond that. So that would be our expectation for these projects. You go to the next slide. There's a quick slide here about potential benefits to the RM and to the host municipalities, the host landowners, stakeholders, as well as broadly to the province. I won't go through each of those. I think you've hopefully looked through those, but lowest cost power, I'll highlight that. Job creation, of course, and sourcing local construction materials, labor. These are large infrastructure projects, and they take years to complete, and there's millions in investment during that time. This project that we're proposing represents somewhere in the range of $500 million of investment. It's about 400 to 500 million to get this project through. And of course, once it's operational, you have that long-term revenue stream of tax revenues, and also the long-term benefits. There are spin-off benefits of local employment, Indigenous partnership, and potentially other community benefit programs. So if you go to the next slide, and I know I'm moving quickly here. If anybody has specific questions, please bring them up, but I'll leave some time at the end. We can discuss it in more detail. What we call the Souris project, because the substation is on the Souris side of on the west side of this opportunity. But as you can see here in the map, with the highway there, the north-south highway south of Brandon, the project kind of straddles two RMs, right? Your RM, Oakland-Wawanesa, and Souris RM to the west. And you see here the shaded highlight is really the topography in the area, and that correlates to where the best wind resource is. There's a higher ridge, as you probably know, in the southwest corner of your RM. And so that's the area we're targeting, as well as going to the northwest into Souris, where the substation is, where the project would connect. So it kind of forms an L going around the town of Carroll. Of course, you see on the east side or east of the highway, there's, I believe, some high ground there, and I think there's a potential park or recreation area, and so we are avoiding that area. In total, the project proposal is for roughly 30 turbine towers, which roughly equates to about 200 megawatts of generation. That's the Manitoba Hydro has said they will source 600 megawatts. So we do anticipate that it will be 3 projects in this round of procurement that will be awarded 200 megawatts each, likely, most likely.
I have a question, Rick.
Yeah.
Years ago, there was in that area, you see almost at our boundary line, there was towers put up. Are you guys sampling data from that time period?
Not from that time period, but that raises a great, later in the presentation, we intend to do that. And I'll come back to that point in a moment, but good history, good recollection, because we are aware that this has been proposed before by a different company, not our company.
Okay.
And it makes sense because this is where the wind is. So other companies have come and gone, let's say a decade ago, in the same area.
So that's tied right into the grid then. That's why you're going to that substation.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we have to go northwest, because that's where Manitoba Hydro says you have to connect. We have no choice.
There's no storage involved there.
No, there's no storage at this time. So on the next slide, just going through the bullets of why this by here, right? So the key talking points here and focus points are, first and foremost, we have to connect to the grid. And Manitoba Hydro has given us this map of the 14 substations and said, this is one of those opportunities. So we've already signed thousands of acres. I think it's around 12,000 acres that we have under agreement. I can't remember what that is, 80, 60, 70 quarters signed up. And some of those quarters are right adjacent to the substation, so that our project substation can be almost directly as close as possible to that other substation, reducing the need for overhead lines. Everything else will be buried underground to the towers, there's 30 towers that are going to be spread over this area. That's the first reason, is the substation. Second reason is the wind resource, that ridge feature that I showed you on the map that you guys know are out there. Third reason is the land and the farming. The farming nature is really conducive to wind farms. We see it in Saskatchewan with over 1,000 megawatts of wind farms. We see it in Alberta with 3, 4, I don't even know what it's up to now, 4,000 megawatts of wind farms. In Ontario, thousands of megawatts. Really, Manitoba started out early, about 20 years ago. They had a couple of projects, as you know, St. Leon and St. Joseph. But in the last 15 years, it's really fallen behind. And there's a great potential here for cost power. Next slide just talks about the physical nature of these turbines. You see here, compared to the St. Leon project, which had maybe 80-meter towers, 40-meter blades, that was the technology from about 20 years ago. That each tower over there is, I think, about 1.5, 1.6 megawatts. Today, the project will have towers that are 6 to 7 megawatts. So basically maybe 5 times the power generation per tower, which is great because that means you have less land use, less roads, less area covered. Yes, the towers are a bit bigger. They're about 120 meters, 100 to 120 meters. And the blades are closer to 80 meters. So doubling the blade length of those other wind farms. That just means more energy captured from the wind and less land used or disturbed from the farming community. And you see at the last bullet there, for each tower, you're only generally with access and the turnaround area, we estimate about 2 to 3 acres of lost farmland per tower. So for 30 towers, that's typically only 60 to 80 acres of lost farmland across the entire project. Next slide, we talk about the MET, the meteorological test tower. So this comes back to your question, sir. We do intend to install one. We have what we call a LiDAR, a laser altimetry system out there now. And the laser, it's kind of like a ground, some of you may know LiDAR from ground surface measurements. This is flipping the equipment upside down and it pings a laser into the sky off the air particles and gives us a profile of the wind speed. So this is sort of the latest technology, but the old-fashioned tower with the cups is the other method, and we correlate those two data sets. And so we do intend this summer to install a MET tower. In fact, we have a plan to put 2, one in Souris, one in Oakland-Wawanesa, kind of spread out because it's a big area, and to cover the full breadth of the project. And so there was a tower out there. We understand that the land.
There were several, actually.
There were several. Okay. We don't have those data sets. That company, I think, is either have been bought out by some other company, or we don't know exactly which company was running that, and we don't have access to that old historical data, unfortunately. That is sort of proprietary. They invested and spent the money on the towers, and whoever is out there that has that, unfortunately, it's probably been lost at this point. So we will come in with our own MET tower and procure that, purchase it, come and install it. You can see in the photos, I think what's important to note is it is a temporary tower. The good news is it's not a big disturbance on the land. There's no digging or excavation of a big foundation, a concrete base, none of that. It's a metal base plate. It's kind of like a meter by meter, and it's flat. We find a good flat area. There are 4 directional axes where there's guy wires, and those are typically helical screw-in anchors. And again, that's fairly easy, fast. You can put that in a day, and the wires are tensioned and monitored. And then in real time, we get the data via either a satellite link or a cell signal, depending on the coverage in the area. And we can get that on our laptop in real time. You get the data instant, within a few minutes, you have the live data from the site. And that's an 80-meter tower. And again, that's not a windmill, that's a testing tower.
Are the farmers able to work around that area?
Yes, they are. Now normally we put either like some cattle guards on where the anchors are, so equipment doesn't run into them, something to protect. So at the anchors, there's a little bit of maintenance for weeds and growth and that kind of thing. But the farmers can farm around and do. And typically we see maybe only a quarter of an acre of lost farmland with this tower.
Are you guys staying to like the non-workable areas for these, or?
That's tricky. We try to. I think in this case, I'm trying to remember what we have with our technical team. I think we're near some areas that are not farmable, but sometimes it has to be out in the field just because it needs to be central to the project, and our best areas are where the farmland is. And we consult with the farmers and confirm that that's under agreement they get compensated for that lost farm area. And again, it is a temporary use, so it's normally a few years when we take it out. So the next slide talks about the next steps. So we wanted to be in here early to present to you all the concept and the work we've been doing with the landowners over the last 6 to 8 to 10 months. It's always a slow process to communicate and explain the opportunity. In general, we've had great feedback and supportive. Even the one that weren't interested said, okay, I understand what you're trying to do, or I remember it from last time, that kind of discussion. Most farmers have been interested in the business opportunity, and I think we have good support in the local community. The next steps are we want to install this Met Tower, get that process going to gather the data. That gives us the modeling to be sure on the revenue and the resource. Then we're going to respond to this Manitoba Hydro expression of interest and RFP in the next 6 to 8 months. During that timeline, we do anticipate having a community information session with the landowners, some of the neighbors, make sure everybody understands what the design is and what it is. That's important for everybody to know. And we will keep you as council updated on that. And often some of council attend these kind of meetings. It's up to you. We will let you know in advance. And then we put together our package and we submit that to Manitoba Hydro. And if we receive this contract next year, we will let you all know that we have a contract. And if there's a contract, then it's coming. And it won't be coming in 6 months. Even after the contract, it still takes several years. So let's say 2026, it'll take 2 years of permitting work. So fields, much more detailed wildlife field surveys, engineering to finalize, to crystallize the design, right? There'll be more consultation work with the community, with council, and with the local landowners. And then the final design will be submitted to the Ministry of Environment for a permit at the government level, at the provincial government level. And of course, there will be a municipal level too. There'll be a development permit approval.
So have you got permission from the landowners on these tests
Yes,
for 2 sets?
yes. That we only put those on the landowners who have an agreement with us and who frankly want the tower because it comes with payment.
Councilors? Well, it sounds like an interesting project.
Yeah, we're very excited about it. We're really excited to be in the area and knowing there was some history in the past. We're hoping there's some familiarity. I don't know if anybody here recalls receiving another delegation in the past.
Myself, I dealt with Enbridge going back 15, 20 years ago at a project down by Ninette on the what's that road going west up the valley called? Whatever, anyway. It was a similar thing, like you're using the hill because the wind speeds up going up the hill, right?
Yeah.
So
What's the noise level from these turbines? Is there concern?
It is a concern, and it is something that is one of the critical, that and wildlife are the two things that we model in depth, and there are limits. And so with the advanced modeling we have, and also with the population density out there, it's not very high, we're confident that we will certainly be compliant with the provincial noise regulations, but also beyond that, I think we can easily have, like we in our agreements, commit to at least, I think, 600 meters of setback, which is almost a full quarter section, right? But certainly for anybody who's not involved in the project, and I know you guys already have with the bylaws, there's certain setbacks, we've been looking at that. So we think we can easily comply because we have a lot of land out there and it's not that dense. So yes, we will take into account the noise concerns.
So is this funded by your company you're with? Is that who's,
Yes.
so it's basically a private?
Yes. And that's a good point. It is important to note that this type of procurement from Manitoba Hydro, it is what we call an IPP, an independent power producer proposal. It's a separate contract to the government providing the electricity at a cost, right? So it's like a wholesale of electricity at probably in that range of 3 to 4 cents will likely be the winner. We understand that because we've seen that in Saskatchewan just across the border. This is not, from Manitoba's standpoint, it does not, there are no subsidies or anything like that coming through. There are some tax credits at the federal level that are like what they call investment tax credit on the, you basically get a tax rebate on building the infrastructure, but that's like all large infrastructure projects. So there's no direct subsidy or reduction in the cost of the project. I think that's an important point because sometimes that gets misunderstood in the media.
Are you doing some tests also with in-source Glenwood? Same time?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Test towers.
And we have this LiDAR unit, which is nice. It's mobile. We can move it around the site. So I think initially in the next 6 months, we will put up one Met tower. We're trying to decide which side of the RMs we should go. And we'll take that away with Joni regarding the development permit for that tower. But in the next year, we'll put up one, and then we'll put up the second one likely next year, certainly if we're retained, we will be putting up more towers and moving that LiDAR unit around.
2 questions. What's the lifespan? What do they, is it?
Of the windmills? Yeah, that's a great question. So the windmills today, with the equipment that you purchase, they come with sort of a performance warranty, right? This is the most costly part of the entire project. The turbines themselves can easily be 200 to 250 million, just the turbines.
Tower?
No, each tower, no, I'm thinking for 30. So maybe it's 10 million a tower, roughly, 8 million a tower.
Okay.
But they come with a warranty, a performance warranty, because it's such a big part of the project that the buyers, the companies, our company needs to know that they'll provide good energy for a long duration. So they're typically warranted for 25 years. But just like a car with a warranty, it will run beyond that. And we've seen recently, a few years ago, one of the first commercial wind farms in all of Canada in Cowley Ridge in Alberta, they took it out after 27 years of operation. And that was like one of the first windmill projects in the 90s. So just to give you a sense, that was the first generation. And now we're going bigger and better. So warranty wise, they'll go for 25 years, but our model is 35 years, 40. That would be the expectation.
That question, weather wouldn't affect them much, does it?
No, they're grounded. And of course, because they operate off the wind, the, what do you call it? It's very very high tech. It's all online and they're monitoring, in the next hour, is it going to be windy or not windy? And they're used to being in all weather conditions in the winter. Sometimes extreme events, they can ice up and then they thaw out and they're braked and they're locked. And in some cases, it depends yet on the design features. You can put a metal filament to even heat the blades so that they drop ice. Depends on the climate here. If you get a lot of ice storms, tornado conditions, they'll lock and turn perpendicular. And there's tons of projects in the Midwest and Minnesota, in the Dakotas, The track record is clear on how to operate these in the prairies.
Thanks.
What was the, roughly what's the compensation for landowners on these projects?
It can be anywhere from 25 to 50,000 a turbine tower a year. Just general, if you Googled it, you'd come up with those numbers, right? So compared when we talk about 2 or 3 acres of lost land production, it's a good deal, right? And a lot of that, if you multiply that by the entire project, we're talking millions to the local landowners, guaranteed over 30 years. So that's really, and that's all money that's reinvested in their business here, right? So we see that as a big spin-off benefit of the project, because you're not dealing with one landowner, you're dealing with like 20, 30 landowners, a whole community. And then they'll just double that down into their businesses.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time today. Thank you, Mr. Reeve and council. Have a great day.
Be it resolved that the presentation by Sheila Leonard and Luca Reiner, right, consulting and Adeline from Interject Renewable Energy Incorporated related to the Tourist Wind Energy Project be received. Moved by Councillor Fisher, seconder, Councillor Hatch. Favor? Carried. Be it resolved that construction of a meteorological test tower be approved in principle, subject to the provision of a development permit, meeting all site requirements as required in the zoning bylaw. Moved by Councillor Fisher, seconder, Councillor Jones. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
We'll be in touch.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, we'll go to the communications.
Okay, under the order of communications, there are several from the Association of Manitoba Municipalities. They are dated April the 15th, the 22nd, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on April the 23rd, May the 1st, May the 5th, and May the 9th. From the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, we have communiques that are dated April the 14th, 16th, 17th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, May 1st, May 5th, and May 12th. There is Leanne Hunt with respect to Ward 2 representation. Manitoba Accessibility is the Manitoba Access Awareness Week. Manitoba Good Roads Association, in conjunction with their annual meetings, are holding their judging competition. Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations has provided information on the Buy Canada Act. Municipal and Northern Relations provided information on the financial plan deadline and the tax statement production. Prairie Mountain Health has provided information related to compliance with the Manitoba Fire Code. Smart Sense program provided information on the fully funded energy intelligence system. There are thank yous from several of the grant recipients, and Transport Canada provided information on the Railway Safety Act crossings.
All right. Be it resolved that the above noted communications be received. Moved by Councillor Jones, second Councillor Hatch. One of the things I want, that Smart Sense program, I'm wondering if we shouldn't be doing something really in regard to that for our buildings.
We certainly could.
Don't charge for it. I think that'd be a good idea to see where we're going.
Mr. Chairman, that, to do with that Transport Canada Railroad Safety, what I read in there, did they put up the stop sign that they need there, or do we have to do anything there, or is it all done?
It is done. They put up the stop sign.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor? Okay, committee reports. I have here, Councillor Fisher, you have a written report. Anything to add to your report?
Nothing to add.
Councillor Jones, do you have a written report, anything to add to yours?
No, no.
Councillor Hatch, written report, anything to add?
Nothing more to add.
Councillor McDonald, written report, anything you?
Nothing to-
Dan for mine, CAO's report, anything to add?
Nothing further.
The, being of the finance officer, anything to add to yours?
Nothing to add.
Public Works and the fire chief's report. Be it resolved that the verbal and written reports be received. Moved by Councilor McDonald, seconder. Councilor Hatch. All in favor? We're not doing this, eh?
We are doing this, but we do not need to, we don't need to do an amendment to it. That's what we were told.
So what do you have?
So starting down here.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 47 2025 being a bylaw to amend procedure bylaw number 37 2023. Related meeting times be read the first time. I get the wrong one.
You're in the wrong one. You want to do this one and
Going for your red one.
you're just gonna do,
Do the task.
okay, you've already got it there. Okay. So it is just going to be second and third
So
reading.
be it resolved that bylaw number 45 2025 be read a second time. It's a financial plan moved by Councilor McDonald, second Councilor Fisher. Discussion. In favor? Carried. And be read a third time, and this would be a recorded vote. All in favor?
We need a mover and a seconder.
Move that for a second, first time. Moved by Councilor Fisher, seconded. Passed. All in favor, once again, before the vote. Thank you. I'll vote. Be it resolved that bylaw number 47 2025 being a bylaw to amend procedure bylaw number 37 2023 be read a first time. Moved by Councilor Jones, seconder. Councilor Fisher. First reading, there's no discussion. All in favor? Okay, where's that drainage? Everybody had an opportunity to read that. I'm not going to go through the whereases. So let's see. Everybody had a chance to read that drainage thing. I'm not going to go through the whereases like I said. I'll just go straight through the. Let's move to that. Be resolved that AMM lobby the province of Manitoba to only enforce current limitations published in the action regulations and remove the internal policy denying water control works licenses on Class 6 and 7 soil. And further be it resolved that the province of Manitoba engage AMM to participate as stakeholders in the preparation of future internal policies within the drainage and water rights licensing branch to adequately evaluate the impact of these internal policies on growth and future development. Somebody wish to move that? Second, Councilor McDonald, discussions. The only thing I have a hard time thinking that they want to go individual municipalities ask AMM to do it, when that should either be done through AMM. I'm concerned after that.
If I could, I believe what they're asking for is municipal support for this to go to the AMM June meetings, at which point then it would be pulled forward into the AMM annual meeting if it was supported.
Who's going to present it? This is not a municipality. We're going to present it.
This is not, so I think it's going to depend an awful lot on whether or not municipalities put this forward to their June district meeting, have the discussion,
And have the individual
and then
regions.
have somebody from the June district meeting bring it forward with whatever support there is.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else have any concerns? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, RF now is proposed fiber path addition. Be resolved, it's proposed fiber path along Road 43 North across Provincial Highway number 10 in North 3819 WPM as outlined on the map attached to correspondence dated May 1st, 2025 from RF now be approved subject to the terms and conditions of the installation agreement dated October 26, 2023, provided all necessary permits from Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure are secured at crossing Provincial Truck Highway number 10. Moved by Councilor McDonald, seconder. Councilor Fisher. Discussion? There's no concerns as far as our office goes. Councilor Hatch.
Yeah, there's no concerns.
Okay, all in favor? Be it resolved that proposed fiber path along Road 46 North between roads 103 West and 102 West and Northwest Quarter 24/8/18 WPM as outlined on the map attached to correspondence dated April 11th, 2025 from RF now be approved subject to the terms and conditions of the installation agreement dated October 26, 2023. Moved by Councilor McDonald, seconder. Councilor Fisher, discussion? All in favor? Be it resolved that proposed fiber path north of Provincial Truck Highway number 2 between Smith Cemetery Road and Green Acres Colony Road and Southwest Quarter 3717 WPM as outlined on the map attached to correspondence dated April 25th, 2025 from RF now be approved subject to the terms and conditions of the installation agreement dated October 26, 2023. Moved by Councilor Hatch, second Councilor Jones. Discussion?
How did they get north of PTH between Smith Cemetery and Green Acres Road when that's south of number 2 highway?
Must have used that Smith Cemetery Road for,
Put a map on your
No.
thing, if you can find it.
I can't.
just to find the road, I think is what I read. Figured.
Okay, well, I understand the road, it just,
See Chelsea comment there, though. It says correct map to south side. North Wakefield,
okay,
directional.
well, that's what I'm wondering, it's just Smith Cemetery's a mile and a half, or a mile and a quarter south of number 2 highway.
There's no issues as far as Chelsea.
No, I got no issues, these are supposed to get
Description. Okay. All in favor? Be it resolved that the proposed fiber path along the action and across Highway 2 in northeast quarter 14717 WPM between roads 97 West and 98 West as outlined on the map attached to correspondence dated May 13, 2025 from RF now be approved subject to the terms and conditions of the installation agreement dated October 26, 2023, provided all necessary permits from Manitoba Transportation Infrastructure as secured for crossing Highway number 2. Moved by Councilor McDonald, seconder. Councilor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Okay, tile drainage. As information has been received from Gen Drainage Solutions on behalf of Ron Badu with respect to a proposed tile drainage project located on northeast 2817 WPM. Whereas no concerns have been expressed by the Public Works Manager, therefore be it resolved that the request for the tile drainage permission and consent from Next Gen Drainage Solutions on behalf of Ron Badu to supply and install tile drainage on northeast 2817 WPM be approved subject to number 1 and the municipal lands impacted being returned to the original state following installation with all work to be completed in construction in consultation with the Public Works Manager. And number 2, receipt of permit application fee and deposit in accordance with the drainage bylaw number 41-2024. Moved by Counselor Hatch, second by Counselor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Okay, and the paving tender be resolved that administration be directed to prepare the necessary tender documents for immediate release for paving in Wawanesa in accordance with the budget allocation. Moved by Counselor McDonald, seconder. Counselor Jones, rather. Discussion. Favor? Okay, be it resolved that a by-election for Ward 1 Councillor be held on July 24th, 2025. Moved by Counselor Jones, second Counselor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Be resolved that the Manitoba Municipalities online report for the month of April 2025 be received and any necessary actions to the bylaw maintenance program be hereby approved. Moved by Counselor McDonald, second Counselor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Okay. Be it resolved that the regular meeting now adjourns to an in-camera meeting to discuss matters in preliminary states as per subsection 152(3)(b)(3) of the Municipal Act. And all matters discussed in camera are confidential until discussed in an open meeting as per section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act. Moved by Mr. Hatch, seconder. Fisher, all in favor? Okay, be it resolved that this in-camera meeting is now resumed back to a regular meeting. Moved by second Counselor Fisher, all in favor? Carried. Okay, so let's do that. Working push. Be it resolved, the council sent a letter to the Heritage Club to encourage investment in the community to meet the needs of the community groceries. Moved by Counselor Fisher, seconder. Counselor McDonald. Discussion. All in favor? It's be resolved that the one-year extension as per council November resolution be confirmed and a new tender be issued for 2-year commencing 2026 on the gravel crushing. Moved by Mr. Hatch, seconder, Mr. Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Equipment. All the council accept the bids received. The qualified bidders constitute a bid price sheet for equipment for 2025 as per availability. Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconder, Councillor Hatch. Discussion. All in favor? Material for road projects, be resolved the council accept the bids received from the qualified bidders to constitute a bid price sheet for materials for 2025 as per availability. Moved by Donald, seconder, Councillor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Carried. Project oversight, be resolved that be directed to obtain full quote for project oversight for road construction project for 2025. Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconder. Councillor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor?
Adjournment.
Oh, I got it turned in here. Be it resolved that this meeting does now adjourn to meet again on Tuesday, June 17th, 2025 at 9 a.m. at the municipal office in Wawanesa. Moved by Councillor Hatch, second by Councillor Fisher. All in favor?